obviously their advertising platform. Facebook's in Palo Alto, so it's about 10 miles away. Google's in Mountain View. So, I kind of sit back and watch these behemoths just battle it out for online supremacy. And the good news in this space is that the rising tide raises all boats. I mean, you're able to kind of move with these guys as they move, and so you're driving big, big markets. So social media we'll talk about. Plenty of Fish is in that category. We'll talk to some guys at Plenty of Fish today. So if you're an advertiser that wants to, put yourself in the way of people dating, which turns out to be a great thing, then we'll talk about that. Mobile is another big one that I don't have massive amount of experience in mobile. It's relatively new, but nonetheless, there's obviously some pretty cool stuff going on with mobile right now. The hot one there is obviously location-based advertising. So as you're walking around with your cell phone, the GPS basically tells you where it's at. It'll try to tie you with some local marketing. Groupon is kind of in that category where they're offering you group discounts over your mobile phone. Email, we talked about. Email is another very, very big channel. People sending out email, targeted email with different offers. Co-registration. Do you guys, if there's something about each of these 9 areas that I'm not explaining, just raise your hand and we'll nail it. Co-registration, it's the process by which someone's registering for a site. They're going to show your advertising as a kind of a flow of that. So co-registration is a big one. My friend Steve runs Smiley Media in the States. It's an $80 million a year company. So again, these are big, big verticals. Each of these areas, if you just said, I'm going to focus on one of them, I guarantee you could be very rich, because these are all obviously very, very big areas. Pay-per-view, it's also called adware. They've kind of prettied it up a little bit, put a nice little bow on it, and sprayed some perfume on it. But adware, nonetheless, is a piece of software that sits on your computer and basically watches what you do. And as you do it, it'll serve to you targeted ads, and so that's kind of a powerful way to market. Search is still a big one. The Google Content Network is massive. I've spent a lot of money on search. Google's not my best friend in the world, but nonetheless, you can't not pay attention to them because they're so big. Miscellaneous, look, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on with this world. There's a big movement now with online guys to move offline, to do direct mail, to do infomercials, to do television. That's something of interest to us because all the focus is online. But nonetheless, I really don't try to categorize myself as an online guy. I want to figure out where the customers are for my particular service, and if they happen to be watching TV, if they happen to be listening to the radio, or they're online, I want to be there. Now the reality of it is, I'm looking around all these laptops, more and more people spend more and more time online, so like Wayne Gretzky says, I don't want to go where the puck is, I want to go where it's going. So I want to figure out how I can be involved in marketing to these users the more time they're spending online. Some of the great things, again, I'm relatively new into the quote-unquote IM world. Up until very recently, I didn't know what a JV was. I thought IM was internet marketing, and I was doing just fine in my world. So, look, it's freedom. Being able to do this stuff really requires a laptop, a cell phone, internet connection. I can't tell you the number of kids half my age that are on their laptops making money anywhere in the world. We talked about what it is. It's paid online advertising. We know it's getting much, much bigger, and it's likely to get much, much bigger down the road. Again, it is difficult in the sense that you have to have fundamentals. I get very frustrated when I see this litany of new launches on how to make money on Facebook and Google and unlimited perpetual mega traffic and all these really cool words that are thrown at you. But the reality of it is, and they all may work, but you have to understand the whole basics of it. So that's kind of what I teach, the fundamentals. It requires patience. That's the toughest thing I can't teach you guys is patience. You have to actually do it for a while. This idea that you can wake up tomorrow and make 5K a day on Facebook. There's a bridge in, I think, New York called the Brooklyn Bridge that they've sold a bunch of times. Just kidding, but the reality is it's not easy, right? It's if you're expected to make 5K, 10K, 100K a day, which I've seen routinely, you make more money than your parents combined over the life. You can make ridiculous sums of money. It is difficult. I just can't say it any other way. But the good news is it's repeatable. The good news is that you're riding these waves. I can teach it to you. If you have the fundamentals, you can see these waves hit. Last year I saw this wave called Acai colon cleanse fake news articles. I've personally seen people that are making $5 to $10 million in the year doing this style of marketing. So there are new trends that come online all day long, and to a large degree, I view my job as the guy that can kind of sit in front of those trends and tell them about them to you guys, so you have an idea. You can be ahead of the wave and not behind the wave. So again, it is repeatable. There's new waves coming all the time. So if you plan to be in this space, it's a great place to be. Any questions so far? Did I answer everything about the different verticals? Are there any questions? I mean, people can cross over, obviously. You can do, being an ad network guy, you can buy on Facebook, and you could be doing search. So don't look at it like you have to be in one of these areas. This is all really a means to an end. This is all really a way to characterize this world of online media. But again, the goal here is very, very simple. It's remarkably simple. It's how do you put yourself in the way of that consumer that wants to buy that service. Is interesting. So, makes sense? Cool? Yep? Okay, good. It's all quiet, so I'm not sure if I'm doing a really horrible job. We talked about the benefits, right? I mean, I think this is probably at this point redundant, but it's very, very lightweight. You don't need to hold inventory by and large, even if you're a product owner. Last year I was doing about 2,000 sales a day of a teeth whitening product. I never even saw the product by and large. It was all done for me outsourced. It was warehoused somewhere else. It was shipped to the consumer. I had outsourced customer service. So it's a very, very lightweight structure. I call it the laptop lifestyle, which is very prevalent. Being an affiliate is an interesting place to be because you have the flexibility to move between markets. So again, we'll talk about two sides of this coin. The one side of the coin is you own a product. So you are a big golf guy, or there was a gentleman here who had bags or something. And that has some really cool things because you can establish long-term relationships with customers, so on and so forth. The affiliate is really this day trader, this amorphous guy that can move in and out, or gal, can move in and out between markets and say if diet is very hot or biz op. And there's some flexibility in that. There's also some downsides. The knock there is you're not building anything that you can sell down the road, but nonetheless, it's an exciting place to be. We talked about the fact that new distribution's opening up all the time. Pretty straightforward at that point. And the affiliate generally takes no product risk, which means that they're not responsible for the advertiser's product, which is changing a little bit in the States, but by and large, that leaves the affiliate a lot of freedom to do what they want in terms of marketing the product. Make sense? Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people ask me, and I get a lot of emails, and so I just thought I'd address this. What does it take to start, right? Well, how media buying is really scary. I do JVs or I do article marketing. The reality is media buying takes very, very little. It takes very little time, but it does take some money. There's usually nothing in this world that's good, that's for free long term, but it does take some money. You can open up these accounts for almost next to nothing. And I want to be clear though, I mean, usually you have to spend some money to get good at this stuff. So if you put yourself in the mindset that you're going to keep testing until you can get it, I think that's a good way to go. There's been several times in my career over the last 10 years where we've literally bet the entire company on our ability to figure out a new distribution channel. Back in 2003, CPM was very, very prevalent in the States. We needed a way to differentiate ourselves, so we were buying CPM-based Microsoft banners at a time when virtually no direct response marketer was. And it was a great time because all the brand guys had since left. They had packed up their bags and closed their shutters and were in the recession. But what it ended up being was a huge swath of inventory that they were willing to sell me on a very, very cheap CPM. So in this example, we lost money for 4 or 5 months straight, but we committed ourselves to figuring out CPM because we realized if we could figure that out, we would be opening up ourselves to a lot more inventory that people that we were currently competing with couldn't avail themselves of. So again, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to start, but you have to be willing to kind of put some money in to figure out whether you can make some money. Okay? Here's a different slide for me, to be quite honest, because I left a company which had 60 people. My last company was a public company. I was this guy that was trying to be a cool internet dude, but I had an office and all those things. And again, I was kind of around this army of Saj Peas and these Shaq Fu and these guys that were just amazing marketers, but they were doing it at a coffee shop, out of their house. And so, with me, I've had that good fortune of knowing that world for the last almost a year now, and so it's different for me, right? I mean, I could be in my underwear and working and Maybe that's gone too much. They call it TMI, too much information. Did I have a TMI moment? Okay, fine, fair enough. But really, I mean, to get good, I mean, I picked this up from a friend of mine that talked about you got to have a right environment, right? I mean, we're kind of animals of distraction-based media. Just when you kind of get ready to do this stuff and you loosen up and you get ready to go, the phone rings, the dog comes in, or you lose your connection, or someone's playing the radio. So I think it's important to note that to get good at this stuff, you really have to do block out, sections of time in your day to study this stuff, and just really cut out everything else. Because again, I don't want to scare you away, but this stuff can be complex, and there's a lot of issues going on with driving the traffic and converting that traffic, and getting paid quickly. And there's a whole, you're juggling 20 plates, and so if you don't have the right environment to do that, your job becomes exceedingly more difficult. So again, I mean, I actually stole this from a friend of mine that runs a company called ClickBooth. It's a very, very big CPA network in the States, but they do a good job of articulating what it is, what kind of environment needs to exist for you to get good at this stuff. So you can read it. I don't have to read it to you, but the point here is block out some time, close everything else off, and study this stuff as if you're back in school. So these are some of the the things that they come up with, and they're actually pretty good. I mean, are you hungry? You have power? Is your Wi-Fi working? All that stuff is obviously critical for you to make money in this space. So, make sense? Cool. We talked a little bit about this at the last seminar. The process of media buying, the process of driving new customers and sales, again, as an affiliate or product owner. The awesome, overwhelmingly awesome news about this stuff is it's a repeatable, replicatable process. There's no magic. There's no button you push. But the point here is that if you can understand the mechanics of this, figure out, I'm an affiliate. Okay, great. Figure out who's doing what you want to do in this space. In this space, on the online marketing space, success does leave clues. I talked about the last time, my own media buyer's mind is focused that I see an ad over and over and over again. I'm pretty sure in this day and age that person's making money. So it's finding out who your competitors are. It's picking where you want to be. And we'll talk about the two types of affiliates. You're either going to be an offer-based affiliate or you're going to be a channel-based affiliate. But figuring out which channels you want to be in. Some people don't like email because they don't like the idea of being a spammer. There's some people that don't like pay-per-view because adware freaks them out. We all bring into this our own personal beliefs about buying media, but nonetheless, you got to figure out which channel you want to be on. To get tests, you got to have data. You got to be willing to spend some money, put some money in, get some data out, and then basically improve things. If you can isolate, again, each variable from creative to click-through, and we'll talk about all those variables